Well, it's election time, and Dave and I have been onto this for a while, but you guys are going to have to make a vote. And what affects small businesses? Because that really is the key to it. And Dave and I, Dave from RO Advisors, have been really looking at it to see where we sit in terms of which party is actually providing the best. Dave, what's your thoughts?
Look, Max, I'm apolitical, and I'm so underwhelmed by all of them. Almost all of them. Well, yeah, all of them.
Looking at it through a lens of small business, you're saying that.
Yep, looking through a lens of small business, and particularly the two main parties are just so underwhelming. They're two shades of the same crap. Which is really, really disappointing for small business, and it doesn't bode well for our future productivity, and that's really the big deal. That's the thing that's killing us.
Well, Dave, I somehow agree with you. What I haven't seen is a lot of anything for small businesses at all. But today was a big day. The ACT Party, who I carry a card for, I must say I vote from Support ACT, put out their policy today in regards to productivity, not small business, but productivity. I was full of hope. I've got it right here, folks. Their big, long policy.
What does it say? What are we going to do?
Well, 3 points. First off, they're going to have make a policy decision that all policies should be looked through with a productivity lens. That means any decision the government makes, they've got to look through it to see how they maximise productivity.
Colour me cynical.
One.
Next, yep.
Because that doesn't do anything other than say, well, we're going to
Next.
Okay, explicit target for New Zealand.
Okay, that's good.
To be the
I like that.
10th fastest growing economy in the OECD.
10th.
I think we're down the bottom.
Well, I mean, at the moment we're just about off the page, but yeah, 10th is an improvement. But okay, good. Good
introduce a range of productivity boosting policies. Not one policy in this.
So we have a policy to introduce policies.
You got it. Disappointing. Very disappointing.
It is. You're right.
Now, look, Dave, there are some governments around the world that are actually doing this very well. Now,
100%.
which ones can you bring attention to?
Well, we were talking about Ireland before we jumped on, and there's some really good things about what they've done. There's some not so good things as well. I mean, they've really dropped their tax revenue in order to do that, but they have embraced technology companies with open arms, and then essentially upskilled their kids coming through school to get into high-paid tech jobs, and what that now means is that, you know, to begin with it was Microsoft, etc., being based out of there, but now there's Irish tech startups, and so that's, you know, I
quite like that, because it'll really set up the island from now on to be a location of IT specialists, and they'll have the skill levels.
Yeah.
So it actually does do some positive, and because IT is going to be the future, obviously.
Look, I really like the Nordic countries' approach, and to be fair, they've been doing this for decades and decades and decades. You know, which we really haven't. And that is they've taken the money that they have developed, you know, through essentially exporting resources, oil primarily, and they have ploughed it into developing their nation. They've ploughed it into education, so that when the kids come out of school, they have some pliable skills. They've ploughed it into all sorts of social services, health, etc., and they've ploughed it into setting it up so that it's more likely that a business will succeed. And that's something in New Zealand we haven't. We've taken a really, really, really short-term view. We'll flick off whatever we can for $1 today, rather than taking a longer-term view. And that's really my concern with the majority of the political parties.
Now, look, with Ireland, I do think that's probably a good thing, but they were attracting the likes of Microsoft and Google and all these big-timers in there.
Yep.
Now, for small businesses, that's not going to help. But actually, what I do, let me just add a bit here.
Okay.
You talk about Nordic countries, and I quite like what Denmark's done, because they've deliberately gone out to give some focus to small businesses, and they're giving them a very helping hand for money-wise for technology.
Absolutely.
So they're upskilling them in terms of technology, but also equipping them with robotics, all these computer stuff, software, everything, to make them run more productively.
Yeah.
Now, that's what New Zealand needs, but
Absolutely.
really that boost would really help small businesses.
This is unusual, Max. I completely agree with you. New Zealand is in the OECD. I think we're the easiest place to start a company in the OECD. We also have one of the highest failure rates, if not the highest failure rate. So we're just setting people up to fail. And there is so much more that could be done in this space.
Well, look, I reckon you're good guys, but I mean, this is not helpful, because we want specifics. Tell us what you think you should do to get our productivity up. Look, there's plenty of examples out there. We've seen Denmark. Dave's just talked about Ireland. Those things are making a fantastic hub of it. Why not Why don't we get into space travel and all this stuff? Let's compete with India and whatever.
And to the rest of the political parties, pull your finger out your backside and do something about productivity, would you?
Yeah.
Come on.
What's that company that does space travel now in New Zealand?
Rocket Lab.
Wow.
They're actually listed in the States. That's another thing we could do around productivity, but that's another story.
That is, but it certainly would bring a focus back to New Zealand in terms of being a very savvy country.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Good to see you.
Till next time.